I thought it would be interesting to get the basic version and the premium version of these SOG Terminus XR knives and see if you really do get twice the good, because this is about twice the price. In Australia, I paid 260 Australian dollars for this guy and 110 Australian dollars for this guy. There are some differences. And they are a little bit more notable. I thought it would be, sometimes you go on making a video and I thought I'd just be teasing them for making, you know, a gold version twice the price, but there are some differences. The point of the video is figuring out how big they actually are. So I'll be doing some direct testing and I'll be doing some, you know, comparisons and that sort of thing as well. So if you're into the SOG Terminus XR, this is the video for you. And look, overall, it's a pretty good knife. It's kind of regarded as a return to form for SOG. I don't like it as much as I like the TRM Atom or Neutron, for example. It's kind of the same size and weight class as like the Benchmade Bug Out or the Benchmade 945. So I'll do some other comparisons as well, just along the way. My previous video on the SOG Terminus XR was, you know, it was a good knife. The flipper tab was a little sharp, which I feel like they may have fixed a little bit at least, on these two versions at least. But I wasn't particularly stoked on the steel. The original Terminus XR came in CTS BD Z1 steel, which on that knife didn't hold an edge for very long and also wasn't particularly rust resistant. So it was kind of a bit of a nothing steel. So you've got D2, you've got S35vn, those are the basics. Let's get into a little bit more depth. Let's talk about how you get them from the box. So the standard and the LTE versions come quite differently presented. The LTE, you get a box with it's obviously a box for this knife. It's, you know, it says on the outside what you've got. It's got fancier stickers, it's bigger, it's got all that stuff going on in it. It's got a swanky instructions or an information sheet that fits in the bottom of it. You know, a little bit more thought has gone in. So, you know, if you put value on the box that your knife comes in, this is definitely the clear winner. The standard just comes in a black SOG box, which I've had a few SOG knives in an almost identical box before. So that's what you get with this guy here. So if you're after premium packaging materials and you see even $10 of value in that, then be impressed. Behold the glory of the LTE packaging. Me, myself, I've already kind of forgotten what it looks like. I shot the video when I unboxed the knives and I will have to watch it again, but I just remember that being the thing. The box fancier on the fancy knife. You know how else you can tell on initial impressions that this is the fancy lad version? Well, you flip it over here. All you D2 dum-dums living in your swamps, you just get SOG written on your knife. Well, you get it written twice. You get SOG, you know? But more educated, more, you know, affluent class of knife buyer who buys the golden knife, you get Studies and Observation Group, Terminus XR, LTE, CPM, Cryo, S35vn. Studies and Observation Group. That's actually what SOG stands for. Studies and Observation Group. That's what I call my special observation group as well.
Crap!
Who's out there?
Nick, for Christ's sake, stop jacking it. I can't.
Don't think I don't see you. I know who you are, and I'm calling the police. I gotta get out of here.
The other immediate thing is that the pocket clip is different, and admittedly on this fancy lad version, it is nicer. This is ugly as shit. It's wide, it's kind of flat and tighter. This is just a more normal deep carry. It's like the clip on the Banter or something like that. It's a well done clip, and this is kind of it's a branded, pretty basic clip. I mean, they're both functional deep carry clips, and they're both sort of rotatable and all that stuff. But yes, they realize that when you're of a finer sort of folk, you perhaps don't need SOG screaming at everyone who walks past. You just like a quiet little SOG, a whisper of a SOG. And then for those who truly wish to know more, well, you see, that stands for the Studies and Observation Group.
Holy crow, he's right, man. Mrs. Tenneman's letting the twins out. Let me see.
You can see the pocket clips definitely look different. I think that is really ugly. I hate SOG's excessive SOG branding that they really lean into on lots of their knives. It's a functional enough clip. It's pretty tight, but you know, it's a deep carry. It does, you know, catch on the pants, pushes down easy enough. This one's just like a slightly nicer version of the same idea. So pulls out. Let's go along a bit. Slides over your pants just as well. Pulling them out. So deep carry clips, sometimes you will find that because you pull them out touching the clip, you will make it a little bit harder to pull out. So you can always grab the knife from the side and pull it out, but then you might fumble with it. So hey, in important life decisions like this, I'll leave them up to you, the viewer. But definitely prefer the Fancy Lad clip on the SOG, at least in terms of its shape, size, and yeah, just how it feels and looks. Another thing that these other SOG clips can sometimes do is the seam of your pocket goes over the top of the clip. You see that? So then you can get it, sometimes it's really hard to get it out. And so you have to kind of like pull back your pocket seam over the top of it and then pull it out. So while I admire that they're trying to go super deep carry on it, that's a bit more of an empty spot that it doesn't actually serve them that well. It can sometimes be more of a hindrance than anything.
The main difference you're going to immediately notice when you're holding these two in your hand is the weight. This is about 2/3 of the weight of this guy here. So this guy weighs in at about 97 grams, and this guy weighs in at 67 grams on my scales. So there is a degree of weight loss between the two of them, and it's kind of impressive because they are exactly the same dimensions pretty much in all other ways. They just get that on this guy here from having it all made of carbon fiber, whereas this guy is red G10 and then some pretty thick steel liners, which are only slightly skeletonized. So definitely more heft to this guy and sort of much more lightweight piece on the Fancy Lad version of it. The thing you get also is the action on the D2 version does feel a little bit clunkier, and I'm going to speculate that that's from the XR lock, which is like a sprung type of axis-like lock. I think it interfaces with these liners, and it's just kind of a bit of a clunkier metal-on-metal feel. So the launch just takes a little bit more pressure and force. It fires open every time just fine. Whereas this guy's kind of feels a little bit more light and clacky. So there you have it. That being said, the gold paint on the blade here does sort of make it more inclined to sort of stick. I've just noticed, I think I'm gradually wearing it off through use. But yeah, I just feel it's like a little bit chalkier or something in the actual motion of the ocean. Whereas this guy here needs a little bit more push to get it going sometimes, but it feels like it's slightly smoother. Minor differences, and certainly ones just involving probably coats of paint on the blades rather than anything else. So in terms of your steels, D2 S35vn, in terms of edge retention, probably not the crazy difference that you're gonna be expecting maybe for your money. I will test this now. The main thing you're going to notice with these is one's a coated stainless steel, so it's like double proofing, and one is an uncoated semi-stainless steel. So this guy here is going to suffer from corrosion and things much more than this guy, which probably will never suffer from corrosion resistance, given that it is painted and also a pretty stainless steel S35vn. Both of these have pretty good factory edges at the moment. So I'm going to do a factory edge test, and then I will do a 17-degree edge on each one of them, mirror polish it, and then see which cuts longer and how they go. So pretty good factory edge. Pretty good factory edge. So we'll see how much they cut before they stop cutting just on these edges. You know, my usual rope cut test, reliably slicing paper, you know, cutting twisted sisal until they don't. And then I'll resharpen them and see how they go after that. So see if you get double the edge retention for double your money. I doubt it, but I don't know. Okay, 90 on this D2 with its factory edge. You know, it doesn't mean much, just factory edge. whatever. Let's see how the S35 does. Alright, so that factory edge kind of toppled over straight away at 36, so that's just because it felt shitty. So anyway, just goes to show you I've got to do my own edges to be able to test this stuff directly, obviously, but that's kind of what you're looking at. Felt sharp initially, probably just had a probably has a really sharp little micro bevel that flattened out straight away. Whatever, let's do it properly, put a proper sharp edge on it. Goes to show factory edges, I don't know, Spyderco, Cold Steel, have them right, everyone else, hit and miss, hit and miss. Alrighty, so yeah, factory edges, they're sort of made to be like, they feel sharp to like the layman, you know, and these still both feel sharp, but it's the kind of sharp that I like to measure is when, you know, it can properly slice a sheet of paper. And yeah, these both are a bit underwhelming, and it's probably just you know, it's too chaotic to go off of the way they come from the box, because you just don't know. The angles could be entirely different. They look pretty similar, but you know, just do it right myself just to double check it. So we're gonna do 300, 600, 1500 grit in the diamond stones, then we're gonna mirror polish them, make them nice, and then see how much they cut. There we go, oily, dirty knives, but with very nice polished sharp edges. Both at 17 degrees. Let's see how they go. The D2 blade. Let's go. Noticeably sort of dulled at 290. Still very sharp, but bit of a rough spot. Actually. A very gingerly stopping at 290. It's just like, go with my gut. It feels like it's got a hiccup on there. Yeah, 290, possibly 300, you know, it's right on that line of needing to stop. Not a bad result for D2, for sure. And the S35vn. So 375, the S35vn stops slicing a held sheet of paper. Both these edges are still very sharp, and you would still not resharpen them at this point. You may just quickly strop them on your pants or something just to keep them going in real world use. But it looks like you're getting about a 25%, 20 to 25% increase on edge retention with the same edge as the D2. So I guess that's something. the main thing you're obviously going to be looking at is that this is not going to rust or corrode basically at all due to the coating and due to the highly stainless properties of S35vn, whereas this being only sort of a tool steel with some extra chromium in it, making it like a semi-stainless, so it's not going to rust like 1095, but this will tarnish out in the open, especially given that it is uncoated. So in terms of value of materials, carbon fiber, is that a valuable material? Look, I don't know. Like, I'm sure in reality it's a matter of cents per foot more for like industrial applications of carbon fiber in this day and age. It is all real carbon fiber though, and it's carbon fiber backspacer, liners and scales. It's not like the peel ply stuff. So yeah, I suppose from kind of what I am led to believe about the knife world, G10 is a cheaper material than carbon fiber. Carbon fiber obviously has a few extra hazards in dealing with it, which I suppose people need to pay to avoid. I don't know, when your Chinese factory is dealing with carbon fiber, maybe they charge you more for when they're dealing with G10 for you. I don't know. S35vn and D2 steel, yeah, I'm pretty sure per kilogram, S35vn is more expensive than D2. It's got a different process to it. It's a powdered steel made by Crucible in America. D2 could be made anywhere. It's just an open market type thing, I think, for D2. I mean, sometimes they name it differently, but there you go. The rest of it is kind of all about what matters to you in terms of design and taste. I, for one, think a golden bladed knife looks kind of dumb, whereas I much prefer the looks of the red and silver, apart from that garish SOG pocket clip. So I'm pretty sure there's LTE versions of this knife that aren't gold, so maybe steer towards that one. But yes, in terms of getting your extra, well, for me it was $150 of value from your S35vn LTE version. Well, the box I don't care about. The steel cuts, I guess, technically more, but noticeably, like in terms of your EDC use, unless you actually test them neck and neck, you may not notice an extra 90 odd cuts of rope. Like that might only be a few extra cardboard boxes and then you're re-stropping or whatever. So probably not a huge deal there. The weight is something. So it does actually move it down into a fairly rare weight class, in that, the 65, 67, I think, gram knives, that's pretty darn light. In terms of its footprint, it's not the slimmest, sleekest knife in the world. It's quite compact, but in terms of like, well, what have I got in my pocket? Well, here's the TRM Neutron. So it's about the same size as that one, but kind of squarer and bulkier than that. And it's, what the crazy thing is, it's not a huge amount more expensive than the Neutron. So we'll see, I'll see how I go in the review of that, how I feel about all of that. Looking at the WE Knives Banter, see that's a much sort of smaller, shorter knife this way, but it's a bit of a fatter knife crossways. So sort of similar clip on that one, isn't there? And yeah, this is again S35vn knife made in China. About the same price, I believe. I think I like the Banter a bit more than the Terminus, but only just. Terminus is a good knife. And then looking at like what's Spyderco's entry in this level is probably the Paramilitary 3 lightweight, I would say. I don't have one of those, but I've got a standard Para 3, I reckon, yeah. Just for like size comp. This is like a Para 3 and the SOG Terminus there. Para 3 is, they often say it's a small knife that carries like a big knife, which it kind of is. It's not my favorite, the Para 3. I don't love the Para 3 basic one. This is still on loan from, geez, mate, send me an email and I'll send it back to you. Can't even remember, sorry. Anyway, and then we've got, this is the little 945 from Benchmade. So it's sort of this class of knife here. And the 945 is probably, this and the Neutron are probably my favorites in this kind of size, weight category. But yeah, so it's definitely feels like a lighter knife than this one. You noticeably feel the heft in hand between the two, sort of the budget or the standard and then the premium in the carbon fiber. Definitely a size loss. In terms of other issues on the knife that I noticed the first time around, I do feel like they've made some leeway. They might have just taken a jimp off of this flipper tab, because the original XR, I got like a a really sore finger cutting my test with it, and it was a shorter cut test because the steel wasn't as good. So they seem to have fixed that, and everything else about it is, I'd say this is definitely SOG's best EDC knife, like pretty happily. I mean, unless you like the semi-auto or the automatic knives they do, with the spring assist and things like that, I'd say it really is, it's a cut above a lot of their other offerings. So I do quite like it. I just don't like it as much as some of my others. But yeah, I am thinking that unless weight is really important to you, I think you could probably safely enough get the Terminus budget for the full, to get a really good handle on whether you like this knife or not. And then maybe if you love it, then you can upgrade yourself. Forking out, well, for me it was 260 to probably 270 once shipping. That's a lot of money, and I'm not quite sure I'm going to get that much joy out of this guy. Like, I'm a bit of a collector / tester. So, I do like to have a few knives on hand to swap around. The only thing about this one is this pocket clip fucking sucks. Like, it bunches up, it's ugly, it's just not for me. So that's the main thing. But $150 more for this, not quite seeing it. But it isn't as flagrant as I thought it would be. So there we go. Thoughts on the two Terminuses. Hope you've enjoyed enough, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.